Hi, my name is Yen-Wei Choong. I was born in mainland China and grew up in Taiwan. I used to study Qigong, the Chinese culture, for more than 50 years. That's what I'm doing. We provide natural healing like acupuncture, Qigong therapy, herbal consultation. We also have a line for herbal products. I've been in this neighborhood for more than 30 years, Marin County, 35 years. I'm also an instructor of Chinese culture and health sciences in Oakland. I'm in the community. I'll be happy to do whatever you need to help you for healing. You're welcome to come to our website or stop by our office.
Each of our therapists has years of experience in their field. Our acupuncturist, Dr. Choong, has over 40 years of experience in acupuncture, specializing in acupuncture with moxa to boost the qi, spiritual energy for healing. For most cases, patients get immediate relief within minutes.
Hi, my name is Nick Moorhatch, and welcome to the Recovery Station. Our topic is chemical dependency, addiction, and recovery from drugs and alcohol. We're targeting today's youth not to get started, and all the existing addicts and alcoholics that are too weak to make the transition over to the recovery side. I'm very proud tonight as I have a distinguished, well-known guest from our community, Dr. Yen-Wei Choong, who has 30 years experience practicing Chinese medicine. He was the instructor of the Academy of Chinese Culture in Oakland since 1985. He worked on Jerry Garcia and the existing members of the Grateful Dead in the 80s and the 90s. And he runs the Yellow Emperor Natural Healing Center in San Anselmo. Welcome to the program, Yen-Wei. I'm so happy you're here. Thanks for coming.
Pleasure. Good evening, Nick.
I wanted to ask you about some Chinese herbs that you know about that can curb somebody's addiction to nicotine, which is smoking cigarettes. If you could tell the viewing audience what you know.
Yeah, there's some herbs basically can cleanse the nicotine. The nicotine, for Chinese medicine viewpoint, is kind of dampness and heat in the body, in the bronchiole. The bronchiole is the lung qi path. And if we can open the lung qi, disperse such a toxic nicotine, which is a dampness and heat for Chinese medicine viewpoint, that could be helpful.
I know that you brought a chart tonight that shows what you're talking about, and that'll help the viewing audience.
Yes, some herbs. I wish I know the pharmaceutical name. Some herbs we call the jigeng, jigeng and the licorice, ganzhao, and fishy, smelly herb. It smells like a very fishy.
Mm-hmm.
Those herbs can cleanse the heat and dampness. That'd be very helpful. Also to open the qi. Once the lung qi is open through the bronchiole, then those toxic, nicotine will, less most unlikely to exist, and you can breathe easier.
I know that smoking cigarettes for a number of years have affected people in various ways. Some people have a harder time than other people to stop the use of tobacco and actually stop the cigarette smoking. And I know that the Chinese herbs that you're talking about have been successful, as some of my friends tried it. But I know that the person that's addicted to nicotine has to want to quit. and has to take and participate in stopping by trying. Am I right?
Yes, that's very true. Basically, if you start smoking, maybe in the beginning just for curiosity, when you smoke, it's piling up a little bit toxic, the nicotine. And when you become a habit, the more you smoke, the more nicotine, which is a dampness heat, block the bronchiole, block the respiratory system. That toxic will stimulate, furtherly stimulate the bronchiole, cause more craving. Then you have more cigarettes, then more nicotine, which is dampness heat, block the bronchiole. It's cause more stimulation, then you have more craving. It's a bad cycle, ongoing forever, until you die, which is very bad for health.
If someone wants to try to stop smoking cigarettes by using Chinese herbs, how would you suggest to them in a time frame to give themselves a chance? Would you suggest a month, 2 months? I know it varies from person to person, but I just wanted to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, it varies, from their style, and usually might take if the associated with acupuncture, it could be faster. Maybe take a few weeks. It also depends how many years of such craving. With some herbs, with some healthy diet, and if you can associate with some certain yoga or qi kong, to purify, opens the lung qi, you can get well even sooner.
I also understand that you have herbs to take the urge away from drinking alcohol. Not many people that I know are aware of this. I was wondering if you could tell the viewing audience what you know about Chinese herbs that can take the urge away from an alcoholic who uses alcohol.
Yes, that's also we can mention the philosophy of Chinese medicine, because the alcohol can also cause some dampness heat, block the internal organ, the liver and the stomach, which can depress your appetite, and if you might feel bloated. And there are some herbs I have here. It's named the common kudzu, Kudzu, kudzu flower. It's a kind of flower. Actually, all kinds of flowers helps a little bit. That can, transform such a heat and dampness in the stomach. Those dampness in the stomach will cause the chest congestion in the chest. And we also use some ginseng because the heat and dampness weaken the spleen qi. The spleen qi need to be tonified with certain ginseng. Basically, those kind of herbal formula should be a little bit frequent and dispersing, to disperse the toxic, disperse the stagnation, open the chest. That's what.
Have you known people to use these herbs and actually reduce the drinking or actually stop the drinking problem?
Yeah, if a patient takes some tea like this regularly for a few days, a few weeks, they have less craving for the alcohol.
I see.
Yeah, because again, that's a similar cycle as the nicotine addiction. If you have a lot of such a dampness and heat blocking the stomach and liver, that further stimulating cause more craving. You have take more alcohol, then cause more craving. It's just bad cycle ongoing.
I see.
We need to stop such a chain.
At this time, I wanted to ask you what brought you to be interested in practicing Chinese medicine.
Okay. I used to have a good friend. All their family practiced Chinese medicine, acupuncture, when I was in Taiwan. That was 1972. 1972 was a very interesting year for my life. That's when I study Chinese medicine career. Also, that year was the ex-President Nixon's visit to China. He brought the gate of China and starting culture communication, which did benefits, great benefits for both nations. Mm-hmm. In China, the human rights is getting better, and here acupuncture even Chinese medicine get legalized with the ex-California governor Jerry Brown, 1976. So we're lucky to can brought some ancient Chinese medicine wisdom to this country.
That's great to know. I was wondering if you could tell me the basic concept and philosophy of Chinese medicine.
Yeah, Chinese medicine, we know it's based by yin and yang, but that's not still the top topic. The top subject is the Tao. We everybody heard about the Tao, which is the ultimate emptiness. For Indian yoga, they consider that's the same as the supreme consciousness. The Tao can generate Tai Chi. Tai Chi generates yin and yang. That's existing in the nature. And the nature, we know the daytime is the yang, nighttime is the yin, you know. And the sun is the yang, and the moon is the yin. That's the reason. And the male is the yang, the female is the yin. And the qi is the yang, the blood is the yin. So that's the existence for any natural unit. And the Chinese medicine considers humans is the part of the nature. It's like a microcosmos. So usually our lifestyle should follow the rhythm of the yin and yang. Like you're very active, you know, we go to work, go to study in the daytime, and then we go to bed in the nighttime. That's such a pattern, yin and yang, matches the nature, which is a healthy lifestyle.
I know that in the community here in Marin County that you've been doing acupuncture for over 20 years and been doing it a total of 30 years.
Yes.
I know that acupuncture is a treatment that can remove pain from the
Yes.
human body.
Yes.
You have to know every point,
Yes.
whether it be a migraine headache, a pulled muscle,
Yes.
from the head down to the foot.
Mm.
I know that you've helped a lot of people in Marin County remove their pain. I would like the viewing audience to know that you also can help them with their addiction of nicotine, which is smoking cigarettes, and drinking alcohol. There's people out there that are unaware that these herbs that you've mentioned are effective, that they work, that they can help you turn your life around and rid the addiction. Am I right, Yen-Wei?
Yes, that sometimes takes time, and the patient needs some efforts. Sometimes they need to have some endurance. Those tea normally doesn't taste good, but that's the function to transform the the toxic, the dampness, the heat out of the body.
I know that there's lots of different teas, green tea,
Yes.
baby rose petal tea,
Yes.
and basically coffee is not something that the Chinese culture uses. It's mostly tea.
Yes.
I think that everybody realizes that there's herbal teas that don't have caffeine in it, and caffeine is another drug.
Yes.
I know that I drink coffee every morning. It gets me going. And I know if I was to drink tea, I wouldn't have a headache if I stopped drinking tea. But if I stopped drinking coffee, my head would have a ringing effect. This is just another form of addiction.
Yes.
But most people don't complain about going without coffee until they try it.
Yes.
And then they definitely go for another cup of coffee. What principle of treatment would you use for the alcoholic addict, a person addicted to alcohol?
Yeah, basically, like I say, harmonize the liver qi and the stomach qi to transform the dampness. And we can use acupuncture as well. For instance, some point on the ear for the liver, for the stomach. Waking up opens the stomach qi and disperses the dampness heat. Some point on the wrist that can suppress the craving and detoxify. Some point on the legs.
When you mention qi, you're referring to the human energy.
Yes, kind of spiritual energy. The Indian yogi, they call it prana. It's the same thing. No?
Right, right.
Which is might not be existing for the modern scientific viewpoint, but for the Chinese medicine philosophy viewpoint, they can visualize to, you know,
I've noticed that in acupuncture, to treat a pain that's on one part of your body, you may use a point that's on
Somewhere else.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or somebody might have to flex their wrist or flex their arm.
Yes.
Or sometimes you connect electric volt
Yes. Yes.
to a needle that has been placed in a point,
Yes.
which is like a shock treatment. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. Usually, for some acute problem, we try to treat some acute distal point, which can remember our body is yin and yang, left side and right side. They're like a sun and moon. Husband and wife, male and female. They can support each other. Often, for that acute case, it's easier to treat a distal point to get some chi balance.
Right.
And sometimes we put an electric circuit for some severe pain that kind of sedate the pain, calming tranquilizing the nerves, that can get some pain relief effectiveness.
This is alternative medicine that really works. I know I've experienced it, and I've seen you at work, and usually a treatment of 1 hour can take pain away, but also it can energize a person. Where if the chi is treated, which is right below the belly button, 2 thumbs down, as you mentioned.
That's the root of the chi.
The root of the chi,
Yeah.
a person gets energized and their pain gets removed. And I've seen you use candles with a glass even.
Oh, the
sometimes.
suction cups.
Yeah.
Suction cups, yes, suction. That further open the chi, it suck out some toxic energy.
If a person was to get a hold of you and wanted to get herbs or find out more about actually using Chinese herbs to fight addiction of nicotine and alcohol, I think the viewing audience really is not aware that these Chinese herbs exist. I know that on nicotine that they are aware of other remedies like a patch or a tablet that has nicotine in it to fight their addiction. If they chew this gum, then they're actually chewing nicotine. And to stop cigarette smoking, a person has everything to gain and nothing to lose. They're going to live longer. They're going to save a lot of money because they don't have to buy nicotine. Because as soon as they run out, they want to buy some more. I think that that's a really good thing that you have to offer the public. I think the viewing audience will benefit by knowing as much as you can let them know. And the chart that you brought that shows the toxic consequences on a human body,
Yes,
how it's affected
yes,
by years and years of smoking, the chances of having lung cancer, which eventually would take your life.
yes,
It couldn't be more serious than this. Alcohol, the cirrhosis of the liver, life-threatening diseases. The viewing public needs to be aware of Chinese herbs that you've talked about. They don't know about them. And after tonight's broadcast, they're going to know about them a
Yes.
lot more.
I hope that I can do some good things to this community. And on the chart, this chart from the Marine IJ Independent Journal, 1994, and you will see continuous taking cigarettes, the nicotine will actually cause the mucus in the tiny hair in the bronchi and the tar in the bronchi, which that's the same as dampness. The tar can even cause some blood clots in the bronchi that eventually can cause tumor or perhaps even cancer. We definitely need to open the lung chi and get rid of those toxins, and they can breathe easier. Like when the dampness and the heat can dispersed, then the whole lung chi will be open like a fair sky. That's the philosophy of Chinese medicine. We see some bad element in the weather, like wind, cold, damp, dry, and fire. The 6 evil. That's possibly anything that's existing in the nature. It's the existing in our bad weather. It can affect in our body. Once we get rid of those negative factors, then our lungs should be open like fair sky. That's how it works. That's the philosophy of Chinese medicine.
That's a good philosophy to know about. I wanted to ask you at this time, for somebody that's detoxing from smoking cigarettes, would you say that once they started taking herbs and gave themselves a chance and actually didn't buy some more tobacco and cut themselves down and smoked maybe less and less and finally stopped smoking, would it take 6 months to feel secure for that person, or longer, or a little less?
Probably, if once they complete quit, they have a healthy lifestyle and diet, for a few more months, they should be complete, lose such a craving. And normally you will see on the tongue, the longer history, the more you smoke, you will see a yellow, greasy tongue texture on your tongue. The tongue, remember, that's a mirror of the internal organ.
Right.
Whatever you have in the internal organ, it will show up on your tongue. It will show up in your pulse. The pulse most likely will be slippery and it'll be rapid, which is abnormal, which is unhealthy. Just scrape out of the tongue it just cover up the, it doesn't work out the problem, We need to get rid of those toxic,
You've treated people with herbs to stop drinking alcohol as well, and it was successful?
Seems that there's some good success.
To curb the desire.
To reduce the craving.
Right. We have a major problem going on in the Bay Area, all over, with young people smoking cigarettes.
Yes.
The law says that when they're 18, they can go buy cigarettes legally.
Yes, yes.
Our young people think that it's cool to smoke. They see their parents smoking. They see their parents drinking beer, so they want to imitate their parents.
Yes, yes.
But meanwhile, they don't realize that they're getting addicted to a drug, nicotine, that's hard to quit.
Yes, yes. I think probably in the beginning they don't really have a craving. But why those teenagers start cigarettes? For some, I think because some psychological reason, they want to pretend they are mature, but they are not, But they keep on going, trying to gradually putting more toxin in the respiratory, in the bronchi, then that become an addiction.
Right.
It's become difficult to quit.
I know that the people that want to quit have a very, very tough time because they've been smoking so many years. And the reason they've been smoking so many years is they weren't able to quit. And if you look at an ashtray and think about your lung,
yes,
this
exactly.
is a psychological proof of what your lung might look like.
Yes, exactly.
When they say that your lung is black or full of tar, when a doctor tells you that they've taken an x-ray, and then it's too late. This is a time now, if somebody really wants to do something seriously about their lifestyle, about how long they'll live or chances of living longer, they should do something about these two addictions now before it's too late. Do you agree?
That's definitely true. The sooner you break such a chain, the sooner you get healthier.
I'm assuming that you never smoked cigarettes.
Not usually.
in your lifetime. I'm thinking that you never did.
Very rarely.
Some people are blessed where they can have an occasional drink at a luncheon party, a glass of wine, a beer. They don't have to have it every day. They don't have to get drunk where someone doesn't know when to stop. This is a person that's blessed. The people that keep drinking, that keep abusing alcohol or drugs, sometimes don't get another chance. A lot of rock stars are not here today because their addiction won over.
Yes.
And I know that you treated such rock stars.
Yes, as we know, alcohol, if you drink too much, it's bad for the liver, bad for the stomach. However, a little bit of alcohol is good for health, believe it or not. That can activate the blood, particularly in the winter. So Chinese medicine normally recommend you have a little bit of wine.
I've heard that it's good for
in
arteries.
The winter. Yeah, it's good for the
for
blood
older,
circulation.
middle-aged person.
Yes, yes. But if you drink too much, it might cause dizziness and nausea. and the chest congestion and some fatigue. And also, drinking alcohol, there's some, even you drink some, you have to choose a good time, For Chinese medicine viewpoint, it's better don't drink alcohol in the morning, because that'll make it'll be hyper, the excess young, because the morning is the young time. Alcohol is making you liver young, hyperactive.
Right.
So if you take in the morning, it will be double active, and only take in the evening.
I see.
In the early morning, we don't take until, we don't take in the morning. We can take in the evening or nighttime before midnight. That's the yin time. Yin time is you feel secure, a little bit, the whole chi is a little bit grounded. So a little bit alcohol won't make it too hyperactive.
Right.
That's the philosophy.
For you to know all the points on a human body, I wanted to ask you how long it took you studying those points to learn all those points. How many years?
I teach class in Oakland. There's an Academy of Chinese Culture and Health Sciences. I've been teaching there for almost 20 years. They have a student, it's a bachelor degree, actually. All the school will require a bachelor degree for 3 years course. You study all the herbs and the acupuncture point. There are how many points in the body? That's the same question as how many stars in the sky in the nighttime. That's unlimited. The chi goes everywhere, so unlimited. But basically, there's 14 basic meridians that covers for about 365 points, plus some extra points. There's unlimited, tremendous numbers of extra points. The chi is everywhere, points everywhere. What the chi means, what the acupuncture point mean? If you can use needle to put somewhere to stimulate the energy, that's the point. That's unlimited.
It's a very magical treatment to get acupuncture and have your pain removed in an hour with a heat lamp over some needles that are placed in certain points on the human body.
Yes.
That you do. I feel it's a magic treatment, and it's a great way to realize that alternative medicine does work. It may not be permanent, but it is a treatment and can last a long time depending on what kind of pain is being treated.
Yes, that's true.
At this time, I wanted to thank my special guest speaker, Yen-Wei Choong. He is the director of the Yellow Emperor Natural Healing Center in San Anselmo. He's very well liked and very well known in our community for over 20 years. He's treated a lot of people and removed their pain, and can also help people with their addiction to nicotine and alcohol. And I just really appreciate him coming to the studio tonight and sharing his viewpoints about Chinese medicine to let the viewing audience know that they can get help if they need it. Please realize that we have someone here that can help you. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Stay tuned to our next broadcast. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for
smoker. I'm 86 years old, and I've been smoking for at least 65 years. And Dr. Choong introduced me to his herbs, which are supposed to be good for stopping smoking. So I started taking them, and in about a week I had stopped smoking. They gave me such satisfaction, and the fact that I could go out and just smoke anytime I wanted to relieved such pressure. But the great thing is that they actually took that desire from me. And I'm still using the herb, and I probably will. But my God, I don't crave cigarettes. I don't crave tobacco. It's a pleasure just to go out and have a smoke and enjoy it and know that I'm not harming my body. So boy, I am telling you, it's worth a try. You should at least try one box of the herb and see if it would work for you, because it really changed my life.
Hi, my name is Carrie Meyer. I'm Dr. Choong's patient. I've tried his herbal cigarettes, and they are actually amazing. I like them actually better than a normal cigarette, and they've been helping to reduce my cravings. I've tried other herbal cigarettes before in the past, and they haven't tasted nearly as good or as like my typical cigarette that I would smoke. I hope you'll try them. They actually do work. So thank you.
Here with Dr. Choong, who's created a beer with Marin Brewing using some specific herbs that are of his creation. Can you tell us about the beer?
Okay. We know the most beer, it's too yin for the Chinese medicine philosophy. Too yin means we tend to cold damp. When we say cold, we don't mean the temperature. We mean the functions. Too yin. If people take that all the time, we gradually slow the metabolism. That's why so many fat people here. The Westerners, they drink beer like a German sea.
Right.
But they forgot there's such a wisdom in ancient China. It's very simple. We just bring the ancient wisdom, speed up some metabolism to make it neutral instead of too yin. So this beer will not slow the metabolism, will not cause the sluggishness, will not cause the pumpkin belly. That's what. Also for better taste, because the herbs mixed with the barley. Barley is they both work for the earth element. For Chinese medicine viewpoint is for the transformation.
So you're doing
to
on a
transform the sluggishness.
not like massive.
Transformation similar like metabolism. To cultivate the qi for the central portion with less stagnate the coldness, the sluggishness.
I know that the herbs are a secret. Can you tell us how many different herbs there are, roughly?
Roughly 10 herbs, 10 ingredients.
10 different ones? Okay.
We guarantee the quality and the wider from the white nation.
Have you been working on this idea for a long time?
For a long time, but
Now it's quite live.
almost 20 years.
Oh, wow. Is this the first beer that's been made with this idea?
I had the Iron Spring in Fairfax.
Oh,
Did a
uh-huh.
few cats
They
for
tried to?
Yeah. But they're so big, they cannot make it. So I come to
Okay.
Brandon instead.
Right, perfect. Well, it's a really enjoyable beer. Here, here's what it is. Cheers.
Yes, cheap.
Thank you very much for talking to us about it.
Hope to see that on YouTube.
From the 2nd century BCE until the mid-20th century CE, Confucianism would be the single most important force in Chinese life. To the casual observer, both Chinese philosophy and Chinese religion appear to be entirely alien to Western philosophy and religion. For example, each of the three main Western religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, affirms a belief in God as pivotal to their systems of faith. Chinese religion focuses more on human conduct. Some scholars question whether or not the Chinese are, or ever have been, a religious people at all. They also question whether the ancient Chinese had gods, myths, and heroes, as did most ancient cultures, like the Greeks, the Japanese, the Hindus of India, and others. But if we look beyond the surface and examine Chinese religion and philosophy in depth, we find that in some ways they are not so different from Western culture after all. For example, both the Chinese and the Western traditions emphasize the value of rational thought, the role of morals in social relations, and the belief that the individual soul is connected to the transcendent. To start, we must look back more than 2 millennia to an intense awakening around the world. This span of about 6 centuries, from 800 BCE to 200 BCE, produced the classic Greek and Indian philosophers, the Hebrew prophets, and the great Chinese teacher Confucius. Recent Confucianist scholarship has become in some ways a quest for the historical Confucius, a description of him as a real person rather than an image of popular veneration. The historical figure we know as Confucius actually was a man born as Choong, who lived from about 551 to 479 BE, and for 2 millennia was known only within parts of what we today call China. The westernized name Confucius actually was coined by Catholic missionaries who went to China in the late 16th century. The young man who came to be known as Confucius, or Master Choong, and then as Confucius in the West, grew up in the ancient state of Lu in northeastern China. Choong's parents apparently died when he was a child. At one point in his life, he traveled for about 10 years. He visited many other feudal states of his time, seeking but never finding a ruler who would use his advice. At the age of 50, Confucius became a type of police commissioner in his home state. It was the highest public office he ever held, but he remained in office for only about a year. In his old age, Choong devoted more time to teaching disciples, whilst also occupying himself with music, poetry, and occasional conversations with rulers or ministers. Choong always regarded himself as a student, yet Choong regarded himself also as a teacher. He insisted that no one should be denied an education because of lowly birth or poor finances. Though Choong saw himself as a transmitter rather than a creator, he had a strong sense of his own mission. Indeed, Choong's impact changed Chinese society. For example, before Choong, the word shi, meaning gentleman, had applied only to men of high birth, for example, to military officers or knights. After Choong, shi applied to scholars, who now ascended to the top of the social ladder. Soldiers came to be despised. A gentleman was called Qin shi, literally meaning son of a prince, but Choong's teachings transformed the meaning of the word so that a gentleman now became someone of high moral character. In this way, he and other humanist philosophers heralded a new age of ethical wisdom. To understand his originality, we have to understand how things had been before him. Archaeological studies clearly demonstrate that the people of ancient China practiced sacrifice, divination, and ancestral rituals. 4,000 years ago, at the dawn of Chinese history, these practices were common, and they qualify as what we would call religious. Scholars have debated whether Confucianism is a philosophical doctrine, a religious teaching, or both. The English word religion is commonly associated with institutional religion, which usually includes a priesthood, a belief system, and a ritual. Yet Confucianism is not associated with any priesthood. It does not teach that a god or gods should be worshipped, and it does not contemplate the possibility of life after death. Confucianism is not even associated, strictly speaking, with any dogmatic propositions or belief systems. But it does embrace a system of ritual that has some religious significance. For this reason, among others, Confucianism also may be called, in a very broad sense, a religion. The major work about Confucius, entitled The Analects, offers further insight into Choong's own self-consciousness. It exposes his high regard for rituals and for the virtue and propriety that flow from them. Choong's personality clearly had a religious character, with a profound reverence for the will of heaven. The Analects are a record of Choong's conversation with his disciples, and these are the best sources for learning his teachings. Yet Confucianism, as a school of thought, regards as its special texts a collection of books from widely divergent genres, and these books are known as the classics. In Choong's time, there were 6 classics. The first of them was the Book of Changes, also known as I Ching, and it was a study of the interaction between the two cosmic forces, yin and yang. These two great forces represent not mere opposites, but also partners in creative processes. They are seen in manifestations such as passivity and activity, feminine and masculine influences, darkness and light, and so on. Change is seen as the interaction between yin and yang, the opposing principles that shape the destinies of all creatures and all things. Classical Taoist philosophy is found in 2 major texts. One is called Lao Tzu, named after its author. The other is called Zhuan Tzu, also named after its author. The concept of the Tao appears to be a philosophic attempt to conceptualize an earlier Chinese religious belief. In the Confucian classics, the supreme deity had been called Lord on High, and the god called Heaven was sometimes given the role of a progenitor or creator. But in Zhuan Tzu and Lao Tzu, the Tao dominates. Here, the Tao isn't seen as a personal deity, but rather as a model for human behavior. The natural way, the human way.
If we study all the modern science, we can never overcome such a material world. We always have some puzzle to overcome. They're more puzzle than overcome. So even we study for 100 years, 1,000 years in modern science, we still cannot understand the whole universe. But if you visualize the whole cosmos or universe from the ancient wisdom of Chinese or India, you know what's going already. Everything is it's emptiness. It's the Tao. It's the supreme consciousness.
According to the Lao Tzu, the Tao existed before the universe. It is the unchanging ancestor of all things, the source from which everything came to be. Some people throughout history have sought earthly immortality in human form, but the universal experience of death suggests that such a quest is naive.
The real longevity is your mind is still alive after physical death. I think that's the best way to explain the post-life. If we do in some spiritual practice, diligently and regularly, then your mind might be still alive after your physical body passed away.
Because Taoists believe that men and women can become immortals, they conducted alchemical experiments that were described as an attempt to steal the secret of heaven and earth. In other words, Taoists believed that alchemy could wrest the mystery of life from nature. Although they failed to discover this elixir of immortality, their experiments eventually led to scientific developments in chemistry, medicine, and pharmacology. Such developments would come to Europe only many centuries later.
This one is quite commonly used in China as a typical liver and kidney tonic. It's also ancient Chinese Taoist longevity herbs. Normally, it's quite popular for Chinese folk remedies, for cooking as well. And this is named Goujizi.
Throughout history, Taoists also cultivated immortal life when they developed techniques of healing, circulation, meditative exercises, and sexual hygiene. Taoism offered a truly holistic healing system based on a text from the 6th century BCE called the Inner Classic of the Yellow Emperor. This text contained a clear list of priorities for good health. First, treat the spirit. Then, get proper nutrition. Then comes physical healing. Taoism developed meditation practices that include an exercise featuring certain movements while standing with the knees slightly bent. This is believed to help restore a proper balance of energy, or what the Chinese call qi, within the body. Taoists believed that the qi travels along meridians within the body. Chinese yoga and acupuncture are based on these meridians, which have various acupuncture points.
Get rid of the toxic energy. We call it the evil wind. The wind usually attacks the top, stay there. When your vital qi is deficient, there's more chance to get some toxic energy stay there. And we need to induce the qi to get rid of the toxic energy, which mostly is the evil wind. We call it feng xie.
The Taoist religion also has regarded the human body as a kind of furnace, in which to brew an elixir of immortality. This concept is based on a kind of inner army associated with Taoist yoga and meditation. According to the theory behind these methods, the human body is divided into 3 areas called cinnabar fields: head, chest, and abdomen. Each field is inhabited by a number of gods, who give the body life and sustenance, while supervised by a pantheon of deities called the Taoist Triad, or Trinity. Taoists believe that life combines 3 principles. These are breath, or qi, vital essence, or jing, and spirit, known as shen. In Taoist meditation, one focuses the mind on the inner organs of the body and the gods that inhabit them. These gods are regarded as direct emanations of primordial energy in the human organism. Advanced yoga practitioners achieve something called embryonic respiration by consciously imitating a fetus in its mother's womb. This exercise recognizes the existence of important metabolic processes within the body, and psychologically it involves the quest for inner peace and the integration of the human personality. The ultimate Taoist attitude represents the apex of sitting and forgetting, a phrase that came to refer to certain meditative practices in the higher mystical tradition of Taoism. In this state of mind, symbols and images are no longer thought to be needed. One simply sits and forgets.